8:09 in the morning here on Wadsworth Community Radio, 71 degrees outside of our studio here on a Friday morning, and our special guests have arrived in studio. Tina?
Good morning, guys. We have 3 guests in the studio,
Yes, we
so
do.
if you don't mind, could you take the microphone and introduce yourself? We'll start with Mr. Mark.
Well, I am Mark Arnold, lifelong resident of Wadsworth and coordinating the big blind golf championships that'll be coming up next week.
I'm Deven Schei. I'm with the Wounded Warrior Project and Warrior myself, and I came to help out with American Blind Golf.
And finally,
I'm Steve Donaldson. I'm a coach with the Blind Golf, and pleasure to be here.
well, thanks so much to all of you for making time to be here. So, of course, we bring you all in for a purpose. We have, in a few days, a big couple of days coming up with the blind golf tournament here in Wadsworth. So, Mark, would you like to tell us a little bit about what all goes on during this tournament?
Well, since 2005, Wadsworth's hosted the National Match Play Championships of American Blind Golf. And starting back in 2012, after I met Deven at our national championship in San Antonio, we've made Wounded Warrior Project our signature benefactor for the monies we raise through the tournament. So our big event for the public to take part in is what we call the For the Warrior Blind Golf Scramble, and that'll take place next Friday, a week from today, at Ridgetop. And that's when local sponsors get to play with one of us and our coaches, or we have about 4 warriors in town that will take part in the fundraiser.
And the tournament, then, the actual tournament is on Wednesday and Thursday, correct?
Right. The tournament is on Wednesday and Thursday. There's blind golfers that are coming in from all across the U.S., some of them that may be in next week to talk with you folks from Georgia, Massachusetts, and all across. There's, I think, 4 players coming down from Canada.
And you're competing, right, Mark?
Yes, I compete in the middle division. Made the finals last year. Got whooped pretty easily in the finals, and who knows? Maybe we'll give it a shot again this year.
Okay, so Coach, want to ask you a question quick. What's it like hanging out with these cool guys for this event?
Well, the Canadians, I normally, during this tournament, have the opportunity to coach a player from Nova Scotia. Unfortunately, will not be able to attend with us this year. The camaraderie when we're not competing is phenomenal. They're best friends. They spend the whole week together. Not just the Canadians, but the U.S. players as well, of course. It's like a strong brother and sisterhood. We have had some players, both male and female. The competition is fierce. When they're competing, it is serious business. But at the same time, then once you step off the last green, everybody's friends, and it's a great opportunity. It's a real pleasure.
Well, I'm excited to experience it for the first time myself. Of course, I'm really bad at golf, but I'd like to watch what goes on this time. Deven, if I could turn the microphone over to you, I first want to say thank you. Thank you for your service. Your family has made a huge sacrifice. And
continue to make the sacrifice. Again, there's a lot of times where, nothing ever gets put on the shelf, but some guys, are able to come back from some of the conflicts and wars, and their photographs and things may go on the shelf, but the memories are still there. But the things that you have gone through, your brother, you'll live with every day and for the rest of your life, and that's not something that you can put on the shelf, and we appreciate that. We really do.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
For people who maybe don't know, do you feel comfortable telling us what's gone on in your family with your brother and yourself?
Yeah, back in 2005, October 26, 2005, my brother took an armor-piercing round straight through the head. It was a 7.62 armor-piercing round. At that time, he was the worst gunshot wound the military has ever seen. The gunshot wound entered right above his right ear and exited right above his left ear. Rendered him a quadriplegic. He was in open-eye coma for quite a while. He made a pretty huge recovery. My mom stepped up, and so did my 5-year-old little sister. Both stepped up and became caregivers for him and cared for him. Saved him from an existence inside of an institution. The military wanted to put him in a retirement home, and he was 21 years old. My mom and sister wouldn't let that happen. We ended up getting him finally back at home and started caring for him, and he started just doing these amazing things. He started talking on his own, started eating solid foods, he started losing weight and gaining some weight back. He started doing so much more, and we saw this huge opportunity for him to do something. And then I went into the service to honor him and to fulfill a promise that I made him to finish what the Schei name had started. When I was deployed to Afghanistan, actually 5 years ago this month, on July 2nd, 2010, I was hit by 4 80mm rockets, which almost took my left leg, through shrapnel on my left side, and was with 3 of my best friends and went through pretty long recovery, 2.5 years inside of a hospital, went through limb salvage, and started suffering. My physical wounds were very minimal, but it was more my mental wounds that were messing with me the most. With post-traumatic stress, it was destroying me. It was a battle that I was losing every single day, and it was little by little I felt like I was dying inside. I was walking around, I was doing all this stuff, and I had physical pain, but that was nothing compared to what was going on in my head. I thought being overseas would be hard, but it was coming back home that was the hardest for me.
So it was put in perspective for me recently. We had baptisms at our church, as we usually do several times a year, and there was a veteran who was being baptized, and he said, and it's just what you said, the physical wounds, yeah, you can see those, but it's the mental wounds that sometimes hurt the deepest, that you don't know, and it just clicked. The way he said it just clicked, and I thought, oh my gosh, he's absolutely right. So how do you even start to overcome seeing what you've seen and being where you've been? Because it's something that I can't grasp.
I had to find my new normal. I realized I had a problem. I attempted suicide multiple times, and I never succeeded. And I had to think of why I didn't succeed, and there was a reason I didn't. And I had to take a step back and seek help. And it took a lot for me to seek help. And when I met Mark back in 2011, I was still going through it all, and he had no idea. But I talked to him, and we became this huge friendship. And being able to know that there's someone out there that, yeah, he didn't go through anything like that, but he understands the mental anguish of dealing with what's going on with your body and what's going on in your head. He understood, and it seemed like I finally got that someone cared. And then along with the Wounded Warrior Project, they had stepped up and really pushed me in the right direction, and meeting other warriors and finding out that, hey, I'm not alone. It's time to find my new normal. I was on 15 different kinds of medication, and that had a lot to do with it as well.
And you've had as many surgeries.
I've had, I think I'm at like 21, 22 surgeries right now. Last time, about 2 years ago, was at 17, but I've had quite a few surgeries, a lot of procedures. It's just a lot of shrapnel getting taken out. Just small stuff that I think is minuscule. Some people might think it's serious, but to me it's small. But I just had to find that new normal from going out to golfing to a lot of guys like to go hunt or go drive cars, something, skydiving, some of that adrenaline rush, something. It was finding that new normal and kind of getting on the right path again, and throwing away my medication, and just thinking about, okay, how am I going to take care of myself now? I survived for a reason. What is that reason now?
Yeah, so you go from those times in your life where things were, as a kid, everything's black and white. It's you go to school, you do this, you do that, and then, like you said, finding that new normal, you realize there's a lot of shades of gray.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a definite line between this and that, and right and wrong and good. There's those shades of gray in there, and I can understand that's that new normal that I think you're talking about. It's a blend between all the above.
Oh, yeah, there's new normals all around. A lot of my brothers and sisters that I served with, they all do something different, and a lot of them did go through something when they came back home. And I have friends that we like to go skydiving, and it's just our adrenaline rush. I have friends that just like to go hop on a motorcycle and go take off, or hop on a bicycle and take off. I found my thing in golf. I picked it up just because I wanted to hit something and I wanted to hit it hard.
There you go.
And then I realized I wanted to hit it a little bit straighter. And
Yeah, how do you do that? Because that's the problem with me.
That's one of my big issues still too. And
I
it's
hook
when
right.
you see American blind golf and you see these guys that can't see anything and they're beating you, it makes you want to quit pretty quick.
Yeah.
But it's amazing to see that type of stuff and knowing that I went through some stuff overseas and came back, but there's people who do care when I came home. And it took me a little while to realize that people actually do care. It kind of felt secluded because it felt like nobody understood me when it really was.
Is it safe to say that the combination of meeting Mark, finding golf, and Wounded Warriors saved your life?
100%. I don't know where I'd be if I haven't met all of them at one point in time. When I first met Mark, it was still pretty new in my recovery. I think it was like a year in, and I don't even think it was a year yet. And I still was pretty hesitant about a lot of things. But me and Mark I don't think we really played that well anyways, but it was just out there. We were sat there and talked like the whole time. And he didn't ask like any crazy questions. He just asked how I was doing, and we ended up just opening up to each other. And I thought it was amazing in itself that he was out there golfing and he never let his disability kind of get in his way. And I looked up to him, and he was doing the same thing for me. And it was a huge thing for me. We became this friendship. I look at him as another one of my old men. He's a father figure to me. But it really helped me out. And then he invited me to come out to here and play golf out in Ohio. And I didn't know too much about it, but he treated us like kings and gave us a huge welcome. The whole town came together and gave us a huge welcome. And it was amazing, and got to meet such amazing people, and it helped in my recovery a lot.
So, Mark, I want to ask you, how does that make you feel knowing that, and I'm sure that you've made a difference in not just Deven's life, but others, but particularly, I mean, you and golf, and then what the blind golf tournament is doing for Wounded Warriors, I mean, has essentially saved his life. How do you feel after hearing that?
Well, there are so many ways that this has all come together. I guess with American Blind Golf, you've seen the bracelets that we wear that say motivate, inspire, and serve. I think that's what we're all about. I still feel very blessed that I got to play with Deven back in 2011 in San Antonio. And I may have told this when I was here in the morning show, but I'll never forget, we played golf all day long, and we have a few adult beverages, we have a barbecue afterwards. Deven has to scoot earlier, and he looks over and said, "I really admire you." And I mean, that hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, I'm thinking, I think I used an expletive somewhere.
Yeah, don't do that here.
Are you kidding me? And I said, after what you've been through, I said, I'm just a numbskull that can hit a golf ball and not see it very well. But I have a necklace around my neck. My dad landed on the beaches during the invasion on the third day, World War II. So, I have a little bit of a tie with the military. I always tell people I grew up on the VFW floor, but promised my dad when he was dying I'd never forget. So all of this has just come together and been very fulfilling to me. I'll say one last thing that I think is an amazing tie, and Deven touched on it, and I really think that he respects this, but no one, and specifically myself, my coach, and our close group the first year he came here, I don't believe anyone asked any probing or inappropriate questions. I'm sure Deven is used to that in his life and has to field those things all the time. I tell people the best way we can honor Deven and the folks that come into town is, I'll wave the flag, live as Americans, enjoy our lives, enjoy the freedoms we have. That's what they went over there for, so that we have the lives that we do.
Well, we mentioned on Memorial Day too that on our show that it's a time of remembrance, but any of the veterans that were over there that were killed or of course have died since, they didn't do that so that all the families would suffer all weekend and things like that. I mean, they did it for people to enjoy their life here. They need to be remembered, but they don't want everyone, like you said, Mark, to be walking around and with their head down or whatever. They want us to enjoy the America that they gave us, that they fought for, and that's all part of it.
I think the sad reality is, that freedom isn't free. Someone has paid a price, has made a sacrifice, a big sacrifice. And I think one of the most important things, Deven, that you said that Mark asked you was, how are you? I mean, it's a simple thing that people ask each other every single day. And usually you get the, oh, good, fine. But for someone to sit and listen, I think that might have been integral. And I know it is for me if I'm going through something, rough time, and I'm chatting with a friend and they say, how are you? And then it's finally like, let me explain how I am. Someone to listen.
When you realize that somebody really means how are you, that it wasn't, I'm holding the door open going, oh, how you doing today? Somebody really wanted to know how you were doing. So
yeah, I mean, he's been a close friend, and I've looked up to him quite a bit. And he does inspire me because he never lets anything get him down. We all have bad days, and he knows that if he's having a bad day, he can call me, and if I'm having a bad day, I can call him. And we can sit there and chat, and it could be about absolutely nothing, and just kind of BS the whole time, I guess. But it's just that camaraderie, and that knowing that both of us have been through something means a lot.
Once again, Deven, the journey here has also taken you to become a spokesperson for the Wounded Warrior Project. So can you talk a little bit about that, your travels? I mean, obviously around the world. And we're going to share the one video on our Facebook page, too, about the recent presentation and speech that you gave at the Waldorf Astoria. But
and you, in 2012, did you do a soldier ride for Wounded Warrior Project?
I've done one every single year. Are you talking about the one I did in D.C.?
Yes, I am.
I got to do D.C. and got to meet the president, and he introduced us, and he talked about us in his speech, which was pretty amazing in itself. No matter your political views, it's kind of cool to have a president of the United States talk about you. I was a little nervous because he pointed me and my brother out. And he's the top man, and we've got in trouble in our days. And for him to point at us and say, "Hey, are you the Shy Boys?" I was a little scared at that point.
You're a little shy then, right?
That's my last name.
Depends on why.
I was a little nervous about that, but it was super, super neat, and being able to do that, and being able to lobby for veterans in a whole, not just myself, but being out there and tell people what's going on. And when I got hired on in 2013 with Wounded Warrior Project, after I went to DC, they asked me to be their spokesperson. I'm initially I call myself the ugly face of Wounded Warrior Project.
Oh, that's not very nice.
I'm the bearded guy of Wounded Warrior Project, but I get to travel around, and we don't raise money, we raise awareness. Our goal is to get out there and talk to any group. I'll talk to as small as 8 people, and I'll talk to as big as 5,000. We'll talk to stadiums, whoever it is, and it's to get the word out of what really happens overseas. None of the media stuff. It's just, this is what it's like, this is what I dealt with, and this is what we're doing now to make a difference. And just to be able to talk about the 20 programs that Wounded Warrior Project has, our partnerships with smaller organizations like American Blind Golf, that's what our goal is. And there's 6 of us right now that travel all across the country and in Europe to share these stories. So we speak up to 500,000 people a year. And being
you
able
can't
to
be shy
share,
to do that.
No. No, you can't. And it was tough for me to do because I'd never shared my story before I got hired. Nobody knew exactly what happened to me. And I knew I needed to take this job to step in the right direction. To get the word out, because no one else was saying it. So it was time for someone to step up and do it. And if it was going to be me, then I needed to do it. And it was, as soon as I got my story out and told what happened to me, it was a huge weight got lifted off my shoulder. It felt good. It was hard at first, and it still gets hard. It's never easy to go back into that place of pain and sorrow of dealing with losing somebody or dealing with having your friends almost die in front of you. But it was also an opportunity for me to go ahead and get my brother's story out there. Since he couldn't talk, I could get out there and tell him, hey, this is what he went through and this is what he goes through every day, but yet he still puts a smile on every single day and never lets anything get him down. For someone to be a quadriplegic, needing 24/7 care, for him to wake up and say, I'm happy to be alive, was amazing in itself. And he said the best quote was, if the enemy knew what I was going to become today, he wouldn't come out that day. He took a lot away from me that day, but what he didn't take away was my will to live. My brother said that, and he's sitting in a wheelchair. He can't feed himself. He can't do any of this stuff. And for him to say that was just amazing.
Unbelievable.
And he stepped up, and my mom has never looked back. She's been taking care of him for 10 years, and my mom's just a saint. She's never looked back. And my sister sacrificed her childhood to take care of him and me sometimes if I needed it. But I just have such an amazing family, and I want people to know that there are families out there that are suffering with this and are dealing with this, but we stick together, and we need to continue to be together.
Why, of course, over the last couple of years at different times with the Legion, and when you've been here in town, I've heard your story and to talk about your brother. But I think the first time that I had seen him was in the video that Mark had shared, and again, you can look and. You know, he comes out, you know, your mom and your dad are bringing him out of the handicapped van, and he looks up, and that's not a fake camera smile. You can tell a genuine smile, a genuine love for life.
Yeah.
And again, you know, it may sound like a Hallmark card or corny, but, you know, you see that, and I can't. It's inspirational, and you know, just like you talking to whether it's 5,000 people or 8 people, well. You know, you realize what a group of one can do.
Yeah.
Because the guy sitting right next to you did that.
Yes.
And so regardless of the number of groups or the number of people in the group that you're talking to, it only takes one person to change the world.
Yeah. And you know, I've done over 200 speeches, is what we're looking at that I've done. And if in those 200 speeches, if I've changed one person's life and put him in the right direction, and maybe he's making a difference, whether it's in the veteran community or disabled children or cancer society, whatever it is, if I've made that difference, then I've made my goal. And that's all that matters. As long as the word's getting out there that the community does care, and that we need to come together as Americans and really police up our own. That's my goal, is to make sure that people know what's going on.
Well, thank you all so much for coming on the show and telling your story, and for hosting this tournament and raising funds for a fantastic project. This has been terrific. True pleasure to have met you, Deven.
Appreciate it. Thank you much.
Thank you. And best to your family. I think your mom is as incredible as you and your brother and your sister, your whole family.
She's the glue to the family. So.
That's right. That's because women rule the world, everyone. We make the world go round, right?
No arguments here. No arguments here. And again, thanks again to I can shoot a camera instead of a gun. We can sit here and talk behind a microphone instead of prison bars, because of you guys, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for your sacrifice.
Okay, it is 8:33 in the morning here on Wadsworth Community Radio.
This is Wadsworth Community Radio.